Amy from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today my reimagined Christmas cards. So this was a set of cards that I had done for my Brewing Up Creativity class with Inky&Scrappy at the local coffee house. And I still have a couple of kits left, and I think they go off of my Etsy shop in a couple of weeks. So I was kind of playing with the one that I'd planned on doing as a live back in end of November, beginning of December, and life happened, so it didn't happen. And I'm working on cleaning off my desk, and I thought, let's see if I can use up my already watercolored images and reimagine them a little bit, make them Valentine's themed. So I had just picked up Lawn Fawn's new Heart Garland border or backdrop die. I think it's like a border backdrop or a frame. I think it's a frame die. There we go. Frame backdrop. I don't know. In landscape. And I will tell you why I do landscape over portrait. Because I can always cut down the landscape one to make it portrait, at least on something like this. And I liked the additions to this one. I mean, just as well as the other one, but this one I kind of liked the add-ons in it just as, you know, a little bit more than I liked the add-ons in the other one, which I think was like the heart balloon. And I just didn't think I would get the mileage out of that one. So I usually pick the one that I'm going to get the most mileage out of. A lot of times that tends to be the landscape one. So I am starting by just cutting down. I cut down a A2 panel just a little bit so it would be within my confines of where my scallops end. I added in some pink clouds using MFT's cloud stencil and then some distress oxides in Tattered Rose and whatever the baby pink one is. I can't think of the name at the moment. I just got done doing my list. Yep, it's not coming to me. I also brought in Brutus Monroe's Red Frost Aqua Pigments. It's just a mica flake that has a small little red fleck to it when it catches the light. You know, bringing in the pinks and the reds for Valentine's Day. So I had actually done this one as a live tutorial, and Kate from Kate's Craft talked me into doing another one because she was at work and bored. So I will also have the full live listed. It's not my favorite because I hate doing lives in general because I never know what to say. And I was ill prepared for this one, to say the least. I thought I was more prepared, but I was not. So for my background panel here, I am just adding some score tape, and then I will add in a piece of acetate over the top here, and that will create my shaker panel. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have finished my background panel before I added the acetate on my front window. You know, but I was creating on the fly, and so on the fly, I usually am not well planned. Don't worry, it's, you know, it's how real life is for me. It's just usually on the fly. So I kind of went back and referenced my original card so I could kind of figure out my layout here and where I was thinking. So I brought in one of my extra hills. So these are actually the backside of, or I guess the discard piece from the stitched hill dies from Lawn Fawn. So it just has that not stitched border on it. And that's one way you can get your non-stitched look instead of, you know, the stitched look if you don't want that the stitched hillside. Wow, words are hard today. And then I will just kind of adjust. I wasn't impressed with my tree placement once I put that circle over the top, and so I was trying to kind of cover up where that one tree was. It just looked like it was kind of floating in the sky, and I didn't want it floating in the sky. So I am using some of Crescent Creations foam strips here. They're an extra thick, so kind of like a doubled up foam square if you saw the little side-by-side comparison. So instead of doubling up your foam strips, these ones work great for shakers just because they're fast and easy. A lot of times I will cut my strips down into an A2 size card front so I don't have to cut the little pieces off as you have when you do shakers. So I'm just trying to decide if I want my hearts on, I think I want some on the background. So then it kind of gives you that dimensional heart look. So, or the dimensional streamer look, I guess you could say, or garland, I guess. And then I'm going to come in with Crescent Creations red glitter paper and also Crescent Creations, I think it's called Dot Holographic paper. I just cut those hearts from that Lawn Fawn backdrop die out of those two, and I will just go every other here. And why is it they always end up on, wherever I punch them out, they always end up upside down, so I can't ever tell which one's which. It's inevitable. I'm telling you. So I probably wouldn't have had to put the one on there, but I did anyways, because, And then I was just going to cut it down a little bit. I decided I wanted it to be a little bit higher up and not so far down. And I just want to make sure that it wasn't going to stick out. So I'm bringing in some Crescent Creations shaker bits here, or their embellishment mix. So the first one is going to be the hearts, the love hearts in red and pink, and then the love letters. So they're little envelopes that have a little red heart by the flap there. And instead of doing the red calla lilies, I decided to do the silver seed beads. I probably could have added a little bit more shaker mix to this one, to be honest. I was stingy with my shaker bits. It happens sometimes. I thought I had a good amount, and it's probably fine. I just like a lot of shakety shake stuff. But the seed beads always make the shakety shake sound, so it's all good. And yes, some of them kind of got caught on my hill there. Most of the time, it's going to get covered up with my little Yeti anyways. And if they sit on top, it's not the end of the world, because it just adds a little bit more visual interest to the shaker style scene and or card. So I'm going to add this one on here, and yes, I put the glue down, and then I decided I didn't have my placement right, and so I just wet my little cloth here with a little bit of water, and I made sure to get all of that glue off before it dried, and then I buffed it so it didn't leave any like cloudy residue on that acetate sheet. So if you do it, you can still get it off. You just have to be quick. So a little bit of water on a rag will clean that up fairly quickly. I'm bringing in that banner from that Lawn Fawn heart garland die again. Wow, I think I've said that 30 times. I'm sorry. Anyways, so the I Heart You phrase from the Simply, I think it's Simple Heart Sentiments or something like that, or Simple Valentine. I think it's Simple Hearts sentiment worked well in that little banner space there. And I'm trying to decide what I want to do for my embossing powder. I did end up going with just a Brutus Monroe Alabaster White. I treated it with an anti-static powder, stamped it with some Versamark ink, and then I will add my embossing powder on top of it here. I am being super lazy and not finding, that piece of paper that I usually do it over so I can put it back in my container. I've been really lazy about that lately. Probably because I threw away my last sheet of paper because I used it for something else and I haven't designated a new one, and that would require me to find a new one and put it by my desk. So I folded that up, and then I'm going to add that to my card front here. Before I add the rest of my images in here, I don't think the Yeti is down. Is the Yeti already? He might be already glued down. I might have missed that part in the video while I was yapping. Sorry. So I'm going to add in some glue to the little flag parts, and then push down in the middle there, and then everything's glued and in place. Oh yeah, I did glue my Yeti down already. It happens. So I will add in the rest of my little hearts here. Yeah, I was trying to find I think, my poker tool. I ended up grabbing the other one, and then I found the one I had originally used. My desk needs a revamp, most definitely. A good cleaning. It's on the list today. Ew. So I will go in again with the every other there, trying to make sure that my holographic hearts aren't. That's why I ended up removing that red one and moving it up a little bit, so I didn't have holographic all up next together, so it kind of back and forth a little bit there. And there is that first shaker card. And then, of course, I needed to do an inside sentiment. So for that one, I'm bringing in that Simply, let's see if I can read it, Simply Celebrate Hearts text again, and I'm going to end up cutting my stamp apart. I don't like to do the long sentiments on the inside, especially if it's, because it would have been like from fold all the way to the edge. This way I can get a little bit more mileage out of them, and I don't have to worry about cleaning my stamp in between doing my stack. It just works a lot easier. And then I will line this up on my Misty. I do have both Misties. I like having both Misties. But if I only had the little one, definitely should have done my inside beforehand, because you can fold your card the opposite way and get your inside sentiment done before actually having to do, the front part. So it's one of those cheats. I, a lot of times, will just hand stamp as well. Sometimes it's not straight. It's okay. And then I brought in some of those glittered hearts for the inside, so it ties the inside into the outside. So I wasn't planning on doing a second one for my live, but I had some encouragement from Miss Kate. And so I said, all right, I will do a second one. Now I did adjust my camera, so you're going to get a little bit of my black and white striped shirt here, and it kind of looks funny on camera, so I'm sorry if that annoys you. So I did go in and do my original one, has the measurements for making your own slider surprise card. So if you do not have a slider surprise die, you can definitely go back. I have an actual live tutorial, or I think it's not live, but it's an actual real-time tutorial on how to make that panel right there, because that one is actually the one that I cut by myself. So I was planning on using that one, but I did not actually have a plain white piece to pull up because all of my class ones were pre-stamped with a Christmas style sentiment on them. So I had to go in and use this one here, which is actually done with the die set. And then I had some cream ones cut out to go with the cream snowflakes on this one. So I will come in with some more of those leftover hill parts, I guess, or I think they're hill parts. Yeah. Hill borders. There we go. Without the stitch on them. And then I'm just going to add that onto my front, and then I'm going to cut off the sides. This way I don't have to worry about cutting it too small, because I do that a lot. And so this way I could add that on there without having any issues. Now I do a thinner foam tape for this one. It's actually, I buy them in a foam sheet off of Amazon. They're super thin, which is fine, because I just need a little bump of foam there. But I can also cut them down to whatever size I need. So these ones are a little under I think they're about 1/4 of an inch. I think they're under 1/4. I have some that are cut down a little bit skinnier than that as well. But it gives me a little bit more freedom and wiggle room to create those things. And I have a bunch of those cut ahead of time, so it's just a grab and go type of thing. So I was trying to decide how I was going to add on the garland to this one. And so I had to run and do some more die cutting, because I didn't actually plan on actually doing any of it. So I ran and grabbed a couple more sheets, and then of course I needed some more hearts. And what else did I end up grabbing? I must have ran through one other thing. Oh, yes, one other. I grabbed another piece of holographic cardstock. It just wasn't the little tiny dot ones from Crescent Creations. It's one that I have in my stash. I have they're like 4 by 6 inch card front holographic pieces. A friend got them at like a rummage style sale. So I have a whole box of them. I'm not even kidding. I think they were like in sets of 12, and I'm pretty sure I have 20 or 30 sets. So I will have that style of holographic paper for a very long time. So to do this one, because you have that slider surprise, you need to have a piece of acetate on the top, or you just only use glue on the bottom part. But because I wanted to add a garland onto the top here, I needed to make sure that I wasn't going to have any glue on that top piece. Otherwise, it's not going to work like you want it to work for your slider surprise, because it won't actually slide. So I was originally planning on doing the inside of that garland. I really like it. I probably should have done it, but I ended up doing something a little bit different. And so for this one, I'm going to go in and stamp on where my piece is going to come up. And so I just went in with a pencil and kind of lightly etched or sketched where my area was going to be, making sure that I was out of the area. So if I didn't get it all erased well, it was still going to work okay. And so I'm just trying to line that up straight. It was not going straight for me that day. You know, that's the joys of doing it live, right? Because it all doesn't work right. I'm just going in with an eraser, just a red eraser, to erase the pencil marks there, since my eraser on my pencil is old and it doesn't, I don't know. Do you ever have that problem where pencil erasers get old and then they don't really erase? They leave like a red mark. So that is one of those. So I have a red rubber eraser for that. So then I'm going to add my sentiment to my pull-out part. So I chose not to cut this one in half, and I was just going to layer it. And I made sure to wash it good. I didn't dry it very great. And yes, I brought in the sand eraser to try to get a little bit of my ink smudge off. It didn't work for that one. So I probably should have cleaned this one a little bit better with my spare cloth. I was going to redo it. And then I was like, you know what? We're just going to go with it. And so it was a very light Valentine that was kind of on there. And the sand eraser did take it off quite well. I was kind of impressed that it actually worked for me. Usually it doesn't. So to get that piece onto the bottom one, I kind of use my finger as a stopper guide and then make sure it is in the channel so I can line that one up all right. And then I put that onto my card front here, and then all we have to do is decorate yet. I will be totally honest. I took pictures and everything, and then after I was all done, I did come back in and add some trees to this one. So it's a little fuller. I think it's that whole, I was on live and I think I was at like an hour and a half before I ended my live, and I had other things I needed to get done. Although Kate and Jeanette, who joined me on live, did say that this is technically paperwork. So if my husband asked if I got paperwork done, I could technically say, yes, I got paperwork done without having to lie. It was probably the only paperwork I actually got done. Just saying. So I'm going to come in and add some of those hearts again. And I think I just ended up, did I just do the red ones this time? I don't remember. We'll see. I just did the red ones on this one. So I did actually cut the holographic ones, and then I didn't end up using them for this one. You know, And then after the fact, I also went in and added another heart onto the end of that. I looked at, because once it was popped up, it didn't look totally okay without a heart on the end with just the string hanging there. So I did actually add a heart onto the end of that upper strand after the fact. You will see that one in the video or in the final pictures of this one. I did take one of those, part of the strand from the backdrop die, and I did cut it down and put it in the little Yeti's hand. So he might be trying to get the light strung, but he's working on the garland as well. So he's holding those 4 little heart garlands in his hand yet. And then I was looking for, I had cut 2 of the red banners. Do you think I could find my second one? No, I'm sure I will find it today when I clean off my desk. Yeah. So I did make sure when I entered, or when I did the first one, I had lined it up to that top. And so I could just line this one back up to the top and not have to move my stamp. And I will repeat again, doing the I Heart You for the front of this one. Already had my heat tool warming up, so it was rip-roaring and ready to go. And then I will again do the little fishtails there, buff off all of that powder, and then I will put another piece of double-sided foam adhesive just to give it a little bit of a pop there. And then I'm going to make sure that one fits on the slidey part that stays flat. So there you see that one. And then I'm coming in with some pre-dyed binding tape for my little pull on the top of this one. So I'm just going to eyeball that one in the middle with my chomper there. Put a little hole, and I was thinking about doing it this way, and then I decided to do where you just pull it through and then you take another piece. Since I had a piece of black twine on my desk anyways, it just gives it a little bit of something extra. And of course, I went in with glossy accents on top of all of those glittered cardstock cards. I love the look of glittered cardstock with glossy accents on top. It definitely gives you that enameled glitter look. It's just so pretty when it dries. So that's how it'll look. You got a little sneak peek of something that's coming up. That's how it looks when it is all done. And there are my 2 cards that I did on a live. You can definitely check the replay on the live. I am sorry for my silence and or awkward talk, because that's how I am on lives. Yeah. There are those 2 finished up. So some Christmas card remakes for you. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you have a great weekend and, you know, keep getting inky. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, all of those things. Check me out on Instagram. I will definitely post the finished card with the tree on Instagram. So, thanks for watching.